What up, world? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Cosign Conversations podcast. Today we have a very special guest. It is the month of April, so it's financial literacy month. So we had to bring on somebody who can help you get these coins. I've known her for a while. She's a serial entrepreneur, tax professional, and she's launching a new business, which we'll talk about today. But without further ado, we have Miss Ambrea Lacy of iTax Solutions. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having
Yeah.
me.
Thanks for coming here. Man, we done had a whole podcast outside the podcast. So I'm
Yes.
excited about having this conversation. But for those who may not be familiar or know exactly what you do, kind of give us your backstory on how you became an entrepreneur, and then we'll chop it up about business.
Okay, sounds good. So, when I was in college, I was getting ready to graduate, and I was not happy about the career paths that were out there after college graduation. I was like, oh goodness. At the time, I was not interested in becoming an educator, and a lot of
Okay.
my peers were becoming educators. And so I called my dad, and I was like, Daddy, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So, when I was growing up, my father had a tax preparation business,
Okay.
and I would go to his office with him. I kind of knew at the time what he was doing, but I really wasn't paying attention. I was just kind of having fun, hanging
Hmm.
out with dad. And so, he said, Hey, I'm going to send you through this tax class. So I went through this 12-week tax class
Damn.
while I was in undergrad,
Okay.
learned how to prepare taxes with a pencil, an eraser, and a calculator.
Oh wow, the
Right. This
original.
was, yeah, and the original way when people were filling out those long forms and
Yeah.
mailing them in. And so I went through that 12-week course. And as I was getting ready to graduate, I started like making these flyers and I started preparing taxes for people. At the time, I had a mobile tax preparation business. I really didn't take it that seriously.
Hmm.
Um, I just didn't take it that seriously. And
Yeah.
eventually I started taking it seriously and I realized like, wow, like I can really help a lot of people. I started educating myself more about tax preparation, started learning about more innovative software.
Okay.
And so, I eventually started helping people start a tax preparation business.
Okay.
So fast forward, 2019, 2018, I started iTax Institute, where
Okay.
I help tax professionals start a virtual or a brick and mortar
Tax
tax
business.
firm. Yeah. So to date, I've educated over 500 people. Yes, they've started successful businesses all across the United States. I've
Yeah.
met so many ladies and gentlemen who were working 9 to 5s and they
Mhm.
jumped into the tax preparation business and now they're making five, six, and one even seven figures. So, it's definitely, very rewarding, very lucrative. Of course, you're busy during the tax season,
Yeah.
but I love it. And now I'm transitioning into digital wealth ball.
Okay.
And so, as tax season was getting ready to end, I decided, and I really feel like God spoke to me
Okay.
because it's kind of something that I've been running from for a
Got
while.
you.
You know how there's this thing people keep asking you about, and
Yeah.
it keeps coming to you, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm not really ready for
Right.
it. And so that's kind of what it was with Digital Wealth Vault. People are always asking me, my clients, as well as complete strangers,
Hmm.
family members, friends, hey, you know, these business questions, right? This business advice. And so sometimes I know and sometimes I don't know,
Right.
right? But I give the best advice that I can at the time. And so, with Digital Wealth Vault, I was like, you know what? This is what I need to do. I need to help
Mm.
entrepreneurs, whether they're aspiring entrepreneurs or, entrepreneurs that are already established, to just start, grow, and scale their
That's business.
business. So I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. We gonna dive deep into digital wealth vault,
Okay.
but I want to talk about how you helped over 500 people build a tax company, right? So growing up, everybody's like, different things that they do, and then taxes became really popular, right?
Yes.
So I know people out there wanting to know, like, people look for different things to do. They might do DoorDash, they might do Uber, but when you went through it, it was 12 weeks to become a tax preparer, right? How long is your course or, your certification?
So, actually, I've taught individuals how to prepare taxes in a day. that's the shortest amount of
Okay.
time, right? But I do offer a 12-week self-paced course, I guess you could say,
Okay.
that's online, and that's where I'm able to help individuals all over the United States.
Got you.
So as long as you can log into your computer and hop on Zoom, then I can help out with that. So
So somebody could really start a tax business the same day if they wanted to.
yes,
So there's
absolutely.
no like, I guess like how you become like a realtor, like you have to take a test.
So there's no official, when you see somebody say that they're a certified tax professional, there's
Right.
not a certification,
Okay.
right? Like if
So
you
they
have to go
boosted.
take a state exam or
Right.
anything like that. So basically it's pretty much training from whoever, you're working with or whoever's
Right.
training you. You do have to obtain a PTIN number, which is less than like $20.
Okay.
The IRS, they'll give you that like instantly. And if you're interested in having your own business, you have to have an EFIN, which is a 6-digit number. It's free of charge.
Okay.
And at that point, you completely own your business and you can transmit tax returns to the IRS yourself. So a lot of people want to, build a team.
Right.
But I always recommend individuals to just kind of start out doing their own thing.
Right.
And of course, it's one of those businesses, you eat what you kill,
Right.
right? You just can't think that you can post a flyer and
People
everybody's
gonna
going
come
to
to you.
trust you
Yeah.
with their personal information. So you also have to be very trustworthy as well.
So, but you could basically start a tax business with $20, a laptop,
Very
and
low
Wi-Fi.
cost. That's it. When I started, I had a laptop, a printer, and that was it.
And that was it. And now you're in business.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about. Let's say we done paid our $20. We took your course. How do, especially now, right? Because there's so many people in the industry. Like, how do people secure new clients? Because I know you've taught 500. You've probably done thousands of taxes yourself, right? There's only so many people that we know within, our network or referrals. Like, how do you help somebody, or what's something you would tell somebody to help build their own tax business to get their first, 100 clients?
So definitely starting out with the people that are in your phone,
Okay.
right? Sometimes those are the people that will support us last, because they're like,
Oh yeah, that's the hardest.
you just started doing taxes, and of
Exactly.
course they don't want you in their personal financial business.
Right.
So that's one thing. Of course, referrals,
Okay.
right? You take care of some people and, you get them a good refund, or, you minimize their taxes, their tax liability. Of course, they're going to have friends and family members that will also come to you. And the biggest thing is social media, right?
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
the more you put yourself out there, the more content that you have, the more people that you can reach from an app that is basically free. So I would say that, and, just having a team, as well. Yeah.
What from the person that went through your course and made 7 figures, what's the difference between you seen between that person who makes 7 figures and the person who's doing 5 figures tax season?
Dedication. Dedication, 100%. When I made my first 7 figures in the tax preparation business, it was nonstop, right? You eat, sleep, and breathe taxes, but you also have to understand it's important that you have a team in place.
Gotcha.
You cannot do these things by yourself. You
Right.
can't say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to build a 6-7 figure business, or multi 6-figure or 7-figure business just alone, right?
True.
Some people luck up and do it,
Yeah.
but I think that having a team, you have to have someone, an assistant, an administrative assistant, someone to help with your social media, your marketing, your branding. All of that is very, very important. So I think that, as well as investing in themselves.
Okay.
Right? You have to invest in that mentorship and that coaching, because it cuts a lot of the time out that you're trying to figure things out. Well, should I do this? Should I, should I do this? Well, you go to someone who's already done it before. They can say, yeah, that's a good idea, or no, or, the places or the areas in my business that I made mistakes. I don't allow my mentees that I'm coaching to make those mistakes. I'm like, nope, don't do what I did.
Okay, we got to talk about this, because me and Xavier from Millionaire Mindsets podcast was talking about this. So coaching, man, you're on both sides. You've had a coach and you coach, right?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like everybody in business should have a coach or a mentor?
I do,
Okay, why is that?
because we all have a best friend, right?
True.
For the most
Yeah,
part.
for the most part, you got your person you can rely on.
You
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that it's also kind of like a bit of a business bestie, you
Okay.
know, in a sense, a coach is because they want to see you succeed. Most coaches want to see
Right.
you
Right.
succeed. Some just want to take your money. But most people really want to see you succeed. I personally feel like I want to see the success.
Mhm.
You know, I want to see them go from this to this, and it just does something to me. At the
Right.
end of the day, I feel like what God has planned for me, for my finances and for my business is what He already has planned for me. But to
Right.
see somebody else grow and prosper and see their life change and their family's life change and them actually reach their goals, I think is important. But I do think that having a mentor is important because it's
Yeah.
like a business bestie.
Yeah. Man, but there's so many people out here scamming.
It is.
It's so few, and it is
Yeah.
man, it's kind of turned me off because I feel like in my business, I would probably be a lot further on along in my business if I did have somebody who could like not give me the shortcut, but kind of tell me like, all right, maybe not spend so much time here, focus on this,
Right.
and this is how you get to that 7, 8 figures. You know what I'm saying in your space. But man, there's so many people that'll take 5, 10, 15 bands from you and give you fluff.
Yeah.
You
They
know?
will. And I think it's part of being a business owner. Sometimes, we have our wins and we have our
Yeah.
losses. So I can say that there has been, some coaching programs and some courses that I felt like I just wasted my money.
Right.
Right. But I'm like, all right, well, now I think because of that, I can tell what's good and what's bad, or what's of value and what's
Right.
not of value, because a lot of people, they just want to sell you their story or sell you
Yeah.
mindset, right? And so I think it's important to really see and dig deep and talk to the people that they say that they've helped, right?
Right.
Look at those reviews and those testimonials. Like, I've actually reached out to other individuals. Like, if I see, oh, this person did a testimonial, I'm like,
Yeah.
let me see, is this a real
It's
page?
real,
Can I
yeah.
inbox this person and ask them, hey, what was your experience with this individual?
Yeah. What kind of coaches have you had? Because the reason why I asked that is because sometimes people will get like general business coaches, and then sometimes like you'll really niche down and get something specific in the industry. So like, who have you worked with that kind of helped you with your business, or who you work? I ain't know if you're gonna say who you worked with that hasn't helped you with your business, but we can stick to positive.
Right. I feel like Krista Tyus, she is an individual. She's a lady that is in the tax industry.
Okay.
And I called her after I made my 7 figures, and I was like, hey, I need some help. And I knew that I needed to get a more structured team in place, right? And I knew that it was time for me to scale to different type of tax strategies
Okay.
and things to help my clients on a different level. So she was very, very helpful to me, very, very much so. Let's see. Oh, what was the question again? Who's actually helped me?
Yeah. So was it? So she was in the tax business. Have you worked with another coach that was maybe just like a general business coach, or do you always niche down and work with somebody in the industry that you're in or industry that you're pursuing?
I haven't necessarily paid for coaching with Myron Golden, but I did do a challenge with him. And my goal is to one day work with him.
Okay.
Right. I think he has some great practices. I like his mindset.
Okay.
I really do like him. So goals to work with him.
Break those challenges down too, because I see them, but I never really understand like what they are. And for anybody who's watching that may have seen people talk about, doing these challenges, like a lot of podcasts I watch, people are talking about, I'm hosting a 7-day challenge. Like,
So
can you
most of
break
them are
those?
like 3 to 5 day challenges.
Okay.
And during those days, basically you're teaching something or you're educating them on something, whatever the challenge may be. So maybe, for instance, if I were to do a challenge within the tax industry,
Okay.
right? Maybe, on the first day of the challenge, I would talk about the PTIN, the, EFIN, and, maybe another day compliance, right?
Right.
In order to be in compliance and practice due diligence, this is what you need to do. Another day, I may talk about, I don't know, maybe how to maximize a tax return or
Yeah.
how to save your client money. So, on the last day of the challenge, typically what happens is the individual that's hosting the challenge will make an offer.
Okay.
And so, on that day, the offer, you may say, okay, well, once you've gotten through the challenge, usually they're like $99 to $297.
Okay.
They'll have a general admission ticket and then a VIP ticket. And on that last day, it's always something that they're selling, like
Yeah.
their high ticket coaching program, or maybe something between $1,000 and maybe $4,000 or
Right.
something like that. But it usually kind of leads you into, hey, you need this,
Right.
right? I taught you this, I taught you that, I taught you this, I taught you that, but this is, ultimately what you need. So that's how the challenges work.
How much value is in the challenges if they're still going to sell you something
Exactly.
else?
So I've invested a lot into going to different conferences,
Okay.
challenges,
I'm gonna ask you,
coaches.
if you had to put a ballpark on all
So
this: challenges, coaching, conferences, summits,
in 1
workshops.
year, in 2024,
Okay.
I would have to say maybe about 50 to 60,000
That's a blessing to be able to spend 50, like a salary.
a salary.
Yeah.
It is.
Just
And I've
on
learned a
yourself.
lot, right? Because there are some things that I liked and there are some things that I didn't like.
Mm.
So now that's part of where I am with Digital Wealth Vault. I want people to be able to leave with something.
Right.
I don't want to sell a mindset.
Whew. Please
I
don't.
don't want to get up and talk about my story, right? Because I feel like, when we attend these events, the individuals that most people are there to see,
Right.
I already follow you on social media,
Yeah.
or I've watched some podcasts with you, or I've listened to something that you had to say. So I kind of already know your background a little bit. So I think it's really important for people to get up and walk away and say, I learned something.
Yeah.
I want someone, in the future, I want to be able to host an in-person event. I want people to literally be able to get up out of their seat and say, you know what? I learned this, this, and this, and I can actually implement it. Actually giving people the steps while they're on stage or while they're in their challenge to execute immediately whatever it is that we're talking about, and not just, oh, here's my story and this is what I did, and not really giving you the game. Like I don't want to gatekeep. Like I want to give the game. I want it to be affordable because I feel like what's for me is for me.
Right.
And I want to be able to see other people actually prosper and execute. I met a lot of people at a conference I attended in Atlanta.
We know which one.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, there are all these people in here and everybody's, doing this,
Yeah.
doing that, taking all these notes. And it's like, sometimes it can be so much information when you don't really know where to start. One person is telling you you should do this. Another person's telling you to do this, and you're writing it all down and you take it back home. I'm assuming they take it back home and they probably really don't even know where to start. Like, okay, well, do I take this from this person? Do I take this from that person? I want to be able to say, hey, here's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And if you need me to help you to walk you through this, or someone else, that is a financial expert within Digital Wealth Vault to walk you through this is what we're going to do. We're going to show you exactly how to do this.
Nah, that's smart. After thinking about that, I just came up with a concept. I doubt people are going to do it, but I feel like this is how conferences should work.
Yeah.
Right. Because what happens is people host conferences like the one in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They're getting their friends, homies, like people like they made money with each other to speak either for free at a low cost because they're like, hey, bro, some people are going to buy your offer. So it's like you're going to make extra money, right? So when they're on these panels, they're giving you the basic. They're giving you fluff. They're giving you the mindset.
Minimum.
They're giving you stories, and they're not giving you what you came to the conference for, right? And I feel like conferences moving forward either needs to be to where like if you're going to have somebody come speak and they're going to sell an offer, then maybe don't have them sell the offer, right? Maybe you give them equity in that conference or a stake or percentage. That way they can give the game. Because I'm
Right.
tired of paying 200, 500 to get
Plus
basic,
travel.
plus travel, hotel, food, to get basic level information. It's like y'all are doing the community a disservice, right?
I totally agree. And for 2025, um, I'm not going to be attending as many business conferences
Mhm.
as I have because now I've realized, okay, these are the ones that I like.
Yeah.
These are the ones that I don't like. These are the ones that are valuable for information. And these are the ones that are valuable when it comes to socializing and networking,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
And
large
that's
networking
good
event.
too,
Yeah.
but I really want to be able to learn. So to bring, things together, exactly what
Mhm.
what you said, like, hey, like let's really teach these people. Let's let them leave with something.
For sure.
It's not just about getting up on stage and selling.
Yeah. So what I told myself too is like I'm not going to no more of them.
Yeah. Mine are
Like
so
I'm
limited for
sorry.
2025.
I'm done of them. But what I'm looking into more now, because I'm like, okay, I'm in the media and advertising business, right?
Mhm.
I need to be going to like Cannes Lions Festival. I need to be going to Ad Age conferences, YouTube conferences.
Yep.
Like those are the things that I need to go to where it's like they're telling you what's coming up in the industry. They're telling you how to use our platform better for your business. And I feel like that's where you get the most value. Where we've been conditioned to go to is we see people that looks like us become successful
Mhm.
and we're like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. So let me go learn from them. But then a lot of them are in like the mentality like, man, I can't give it all away because then they're gonna take, you know
Then
what
I
I'm saying?
won't have anything left.
I don't have anything left.
Or
This
they
is
just want to come there for pictures.
right. That part too. It's for content. So it's like, man, it's like we have to get past that.
Yeah.
And like I told you offline, I went to a conference and I had to email them because I'm like, man, look, I'm at a point now. I poured so much into my business that if you're selling me on a conference on how to do X, Y, and Z,
Mhm.
and that's your whole marketing campaign, then when I go to your conference, I need to learn X, Y, Z. If I didn't, then that's false advertising,
I
right?
agree.
So I didn't want my money back, but I want to know, like, bro, like this is what y'all said y'all gonna do, but y'all didn't do this. Y'all fell short. I won't be coming again. Just want you to,
And hopefully some people can respect that because myself, like if I'm able to, actually reach out to somebody or send an email, like I will give my unsolicited feedback,
right,
right? And again, it's not to ask for a refund,
right,
but it's just like, hey, like, what, this was cool, but, maybe it could have
yeah,
been a little bit different. And some business owners or some hosts will say, and some will
yeah.
actually say, well, you know what? Maybe we should have thought about it. Or maybe there was someone else on the team
Mhm.
that might have thrown that out there and they just ignored it because they were thinking more about dollars. For me, it's about value and like really reaching the
Yeah.
community and showing people like, your life can be completely
Yeah.
different. And if you reach one person, you can, they can help others. So I
Nah.
don't know. I just want to give back as much as I can.
Nah, for sure, for sure. And before we dive deeper into digital wealth, I want to ask you this. So 2024, dedicated 50 to 60K into, bettering yourself, getting information, resources. How do you think that investment paid off into your business?
I think that it's going to help me a lot with Digital Wealth Vault.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that same 50, 60,000 that I would have spent this year, on some of those same conferences, I'm just going to pour into Digital Wealth Vault as much as I possibly can so that I can help others. But definitely won't be spending that much this year.
Yeah.
No. Not on conferences that are not of value to me.
Gotcha. This is just from your expertise, have you found out that those higher ticket offers are more value than like the entry level ones, or do you feel like it's kind of the same depending where you are in your business?
I think it's kind of the same depending on where you are with your business. I think that when it's the higher ticket, I think that you are getting more access to the person. Now, once you get that access, the question is that individual going to gatekeep or not?
Gotcha.
right? Are you going to open me up to, your resources and, your plugs,
Right.
right? Like, are you really going to give me the plug, or are you going to tell me like, hey, this is how you do it?
Yeah.
And, maybe I figure it out, maybe I don't figure it out. And if I don't figure it out, maybe you have something else that you want to,
Right.
upsell me on. So, yeah.
Mm. I wonder, like, when is the point that you just open the book and just be like, here's everything? Like, is that like $100,000 offer? Is that like, what is that like? I just want it all. Like,
Yeah.
what does that look like?
I don't know if I've seen anybody really, really do it,
Yeah, I don't think so.
because I think most people kind of want to keep
Something for themselves.
keep something for themselves. But what I think is this. I think that you don't have to reinvent the wheel
Right. Exactly.
necessarily, right?
Yeah.
But I think that you have to throw your sauce on
For
it.
sure.
You have to throw your flavor onto it. But a lot of people think that they have to come up with this, grand idea, and it has to be completely different. But me personally, creating Digital Wealth Vault, there are some individuals that I've been following, and I'm like, I really like this about her. I really like this about him. I really like this about this individual. And then there's me.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, I'm going to pull, these different things, put it together, and then I'm going to add, Ambrea in there, and we're just going to see what it does.
Okay, good. So break down Digital Wealth Vault for us, right? So what's this going to contain? Who is this for? When can we expect it? When we sign up, what's the first thing that's going to happen?
Yes. So Digital Wealth Vault, initially there is a free course.
Okay.
So a lot of times what I've noticed is that I'll be scrolling on Instagram and they're like, sign up for this free ebook, right?
Lead generator.
And I get this lead generating ebook that is stuff that either I already know, or I could have Googled, or it's literally AI generated. It's something from ChatGPT that is just basic information. I understand the concept behind it. I understand that you're doing it to get leads, right? And so I sat back and I was like, how many ebooks have I had that come into my email? I scroll through them. Some of them are 10 pages and some are like 70 pages. And I'm like, I'm not going to read this, read the first few pages. So with Digital Wealth Vault, you get a free mini course.
Okay.
So that mini course is me live going over business structure, how to properly structure your business, because a lot of people are interested in building their business credit, or they have, less than perfect personal credit.
Right.
So getting your business structure properly, because that's step one as an entrepreneur, right? You can't go into these big banks or even small banks and ask for money and funding for your business. And, you're using your home address, or, you don't have things structured properly. So that's the first thing, properly structuring their business, repairing their personal credit, right? There are so many ways that you can do this yourself.
Okay.
And I'm not knocking anybody that has a credit repair company, right? Because I used to have a credit repair company. But when I started my credit repair company, guess what I did? I didn't have the money for credit repair, but I had a crappy credit score. So I learned how to repair my own credit. So these days, it's so much easier, so much faster. You can get these results from, the bureaus a lot faster. So I break down how to get the inquiries off, charge off, collections, all of that good stuff legally to increase your credit score, how to build your personal credit score, and then also how to build your business credit. Okay. So all of that is in the free course.
For free. Okay, so the pay got to be fire. The pay got to be fire.
Absolutely. So while creating this, I told my assistant, also tax strategies as well. Okay. So those are the 4 things that are in the free course. And I told my assistant, I said, I want people to feel like they are robbing me. Yeah. I want people to feel like they are robbing me, because once you get into the paid community, right? And this is all stuff that you can do on your own, the free, mini course. It doesn't come with any support. So once you actually get into the community, if you have questions, I'll answer your questions. And there will also be hundreds of other people in the community that have gone through those things that may say, okay, well, hey, this is how you do that. I think that as a coach, I think that community is very, very
For
important.
sure.
Support is very, very important because you still kind of need that accountability day to day and to
Yeah.
see because sometimes a lot of ladies that I've met, their spouse may not be interested in entrepreneurship or their
Hmm.
spouse may not support their entrepreneurship journey.
Hmm.
And so you have to have that community of individuals that have the same mindset that are working towards some of the same
Yeah.
goals. So that's what's free with Digital Wealth Vault. And then again, like I said, if you want to transition into the paid community, that's going to be $37 a month.
Okay.
And that's less than $700 a year to have, 6 and 7 figure coaches
Yeah.
helping you to grow your business.
That's amazing.
Yes, so the support will be there. I'll have weekly coaching calls as well as guest speakers that will come in and talk about copywriting,
Okay.
trademarks, trusts, 401ks,
Mm.
real estate investing, all of that good stuff.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm just putting it all out there. And I just feel like, hey, what you do with it is what you do with it. But you're going to have the support that you
Yeah.
need.
So $37 a month, they're getting weekly access.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Can't beat it.
When has it launched or when is it launching?
So it's going to launch at the end of May.
Okay.
Yes. So the free course will be available and people will be able to jump into the community. So
Mhm.
I'm super excited about it. Of
Mhm.
course, I had to finish up with tax season. So
Oh yeah.
I'm coming down from tax season
Mhm.
and I'm just super excited. I literally feel like it's my baby.
Yeah.
My daughter, she'll be 21 this summer and I'm like, this is my new baby. Digital Wealth Vault, this is my baby.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to just put it out there and allow individuals to, get the knowledge that
Mm.
they need.
From being in the industry, what have you seen that works for communities? I'm pretty sure you've been a part of different ones as well. So what have you seen that works that you kind of want to implement?
I think the accountability calls,
Okay.
I think a lot of people are implementing those into communities now.
Okay.
Because you can say, okay, hey, we're meeting every Tuesday, but where is that morning coffee, that morning wake up, right?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes we go through things and life is just lifing,
Yeah.
right? And so you may need that 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock a.m., morning motivation once you've gotten out of bed, got your kids together, starting your day to just remind you like, hey,
Mhm.
like this is why you're doing this, make it happen. And yeah, the mindset, the accountability, I think that's really important.
Mm.
I really do.
Nah, for sure. When did you realize, right, that you already had the mindset to do like these audacious things?
I think growing up, my family always kind of said, and just like random people would be like, it's something different about
Yeah.
her, and when I was in school, I would finish my work early and start helping my peers
Mhm.
after the
Okay.
teacher was teaching. And I noticed also when I got to college, even though I was a parent, right? I had my daughter when I was 18. School still was just not difficult. I knew I had to do it just because of my family background. I knew I had to at least obtain a master's degree,
Mhm.
even though I really didn't want to. My mom was like, "You're going to grad school?" I'm like, "I don't want to." And she kind of forced me into grad
Yeah.
school. I'm glad I did it, but even as an entrepreneur, right? I got a lot of student loans,
Yeah.
and I'm a business owner, but yeah. So
That's what's up. I want to ask you this. I always ask people this when, somebody's reached like that 7-figure milestone, right? When you first hit that milestone, how did you feel and what was like your next thought?
so I remember exactly what happened. I logged into my bank account and I saw it was almost there. And I called my best friend. I was like, friend, I was like, I've been out here working so hard. Like, I just, I wasn't putting it all together because I was so busy
Mhm.
grinding
Yeah.
and making things happen. I wasn't necessarily paying attention to the dollar amount.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. And I sent her a screenshot and I was like, what do I do? I was like, I don't want to tell nobody because then people gonna start asking me for
Yeah.
money. They already asked me for
Yeah.
money, but they really gonna start asking me for
Yeah.
money, right? But I think that in the day and age that we live in now, you know, a lot of people want to put that information out there,
Mhm.
right? And for me, it's good and it's bad,
Right.
right? I think it's great for marketing. But I also think that if you know your stuff, you know your stuff.
Right.
Right. And there are so many people out there who may not have achieved a certain amount of money, but they know their
They know the
stuff.
stuff, right?
Right. So I also just kind of look at a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people who put those things out there. I'm like, you know, y'all also got to be careful. Y'all know the IRS watching.
They watching.
Right. Y'all out here saying y'all making all these millions of dollars. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
But, you know, you also have to think about, you know, your tax returns and, you know,
Mhm.
what's really being reflected, you know, in those type of situations. And as an individual who's looking for a mentor or for a coach, I would tell individuals don't necessarily be blinded or bright eyed about how much money people are making,
Mhm.
because that doesn't necessarily mean that they know what they're doing. Some people, I think, genuinely, I don't want to say the word is luck because obviously I believe in God,
Right.
but sometimes I think with some people it's just their time.
Yeah, they just
right, and it's their moment and that kind of thing too. So yeah.
So one other thing I want to ask about, you know, becoming successful, entering a tax bracket, et cetera, is do you feel like your company had to change to reach that milestone?
Absolutely. I rebranded iTax Solutions 2-3 times
Okay.
over the last decade. Some people think that you have to have this perfect logo and this perfect slogan and this perfect mission and this perfect website to start your business. No, just put it out there.
Yeah.
Right. And as you grow, you can rebrand later.
Right.
So yeah, I had to change it up and, you know, occasionally I'd say maybe 2 or 3 times we've also changed the website. I'm like, okay, I want a more corporate, you know, feel. Sometimes people are all about, you know, putting their face and their brand out there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's how it was initially. So now, like with iTax Solutions, where I offer the tax preparation services and all of that good stuff, you go on that website, you don't even see me.
Yeah. Nah, for sure.
But before it was me.
Yeah,
but
I
yeah.
feel like that's how we all started, like putting ourselves out there.
Right. We like taking those pictures and holding those arms.
Yeah. What about your network? Has your network changed the more you've been locked in on business, the more successful you became?
Absolutely. Even at networking events, I'm the girl that kind of just sits back for a little bit and I just kind of peep the room and kind of see what's going on and, you know, see how people are moving. You know, who are the kind of the quiet people in the room and who are the louder people in the room. And some people are drawn more to, you know, the person in the room that's
right.
I'm usually not, I'm not drawn to that. I'm like, who's just kind of sitting back in the cut and who is God just going to organically place me next to that I need to speak with, or, you know, we need to connect with each other. I was at an event in Houston and I was just kind of chilling, you know, and the lady and myself, everybody else had gotten up, right? They were all networking and I was just kind of on my phone and I was like, okay, let me just kind of see, check the room, read the room. And so I think she was actually kind of doing the same thing. And so I looked at her and we started speaking and she was actually here from Dallas and she owns, or she's a founder of a very prominent nonprofit organization here.
Okay.
And so once we started talking, I mean, our conversation was just so dynamic. She was telling me the purpose behind our organization. And I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at all these other people in here, and it was, you know, to help single moms and,
Hmm.
you know, battered women and all of this kind of stuff. And I was just like, wow, like this
Yeah.
is what gets me going right here. Not just talking about money all the time
Right.
or that kind of thing, but this right here, like she has a purpose,
Yeah.
and that really drew me to her. So, you know.
Yeah. That's what's awesome. That's what's up. Looking back on what you did 2024, what do you have planned for 2025, 2026? You going all in on digital wealth vault? Do you plan on having somebody else take over iTax solutions?
So every year, if you catch me around the end of February,
Yeah.
beginning of March, I'm always like, I'm not doing taxes anymore. You know, I'm always like telling my family, like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing taxes anymore. I'm tired. I'm stressed out.
Yeah.
And so I can't say now that I have a team, it's not like that
Right.
anymore. But I'm still consistently like speaking with clients all day from like morning and at least from every bit of like 10 a.m. to like 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Dang.
And that is a lot. And I
Yeah.
work from home,
Yeah.
right? Good thing about COVID, save some money. I work from home. But as far as someone taking over, when it comes to tax preparation, people want you.
Yeah.
If I went to go work at H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt right now,
Yeah.
people would still want me.
Mhm.
So it's like they want Ambrea. So it's kind of difficult to transition your clients into working with someone
Somebody
else.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it. I have a niece and another young lady who has been like texting me and they're like, hey, like I'm ready to jump into the industry. And I'm like, now that I got digital wealth vault, like maybe, you know, God
Yeah.
is sending these ladies, you know, into you know, just to put it on my mind, like, okay, Ambrea,
Mhm.
maybe it's time for you to, you know, transition some of your clients over to these young ladies because they definitely deserve it. And I've been knowing them, you know, for a
Mhm.
while. And the reality of it is we can't do everything.
Yeah.
And so with digital wealth vault, you know, being my newborn baby, I really
Yeah.
gotta, you know, take care of it. So I'll have to transition, but there are some clients that they're just gonna
Man.
refuse not
Yeah.
to work with anybody else.
That's part about being in a service-based business, man. People want to work with, who they know, already trust. Which kind of leads into, a couple more questions I got. Like, what is something that, you've learned from these years in business that you either wish you could change or that you have changed because you realize, okay, this isn't going to work long term in business?
Some people think that they are with a service-based business.
Mm.
They feel like, well, if this person is charging $200, why are you charging, you know, $500, right? And I think that what people have to remember is the experience,
Yeah.
the coaching
Yeah.
that I've invested in, these conferences that I've invested in, right? All of this stuff goes into consideration when you're a service-based business with your price point. And I honestly feel like cheaper is not always better.
Right.
You know, I want premium service. And that means that I have to pay a premium price, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with that, right? So I think that's what I've learned. For a little bit years ago, I was kind of nervous about going up on my prices for my clients. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose clients. But you also have to add value. Some
Yeah.
people just think, oh, I'm just going to go up on my price. No,
No.
you have to add value. Now, you know, 8 years ago, my clients didn't have a client portal. They didn't have, you know, a booking link that they could book through. I was just like texting them like, hey, can I hop on the phone with you now?
Yeah.
Right. So now, you know, they're able to actually book an appointment and their client experience is a lot better. Everything is digital. So I believe that once that did take place, my clients could see like, okay, this is the difference. Like, you know, kind of like this is what I'm paying
Yeah.
for. Now I have to speak with somebody else before I speak with Ambrea, or, you know, once I speak with her, this is who the follow-up comes with.
Just want to say, no, that's amazing. That's amazing. And then my last part is like, what's the biggest takeaway from everything you've been through?
I would say just really always keeping God first
Mm,
and walking in your purpose.
mm,
I think that this next phase of my life, like I said, with digital wealth vault, I think it's with purpose for
yeah.
me. Tax preparation was, hey, daddy,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do. So, you just kind of threw me into something.
Yeah.
Did I think that it would grow into this? Absolutely not.
Mm,
But I've grown to love it, and I'm really good at it.
mm,
But I think that digital wealth vault is truly my passion, and
yeah.
I'm ready to walk in my purpose, live in my purpose, and help others. So I think keeping God first,
Yeah.
walking in your purpose,
For sure.
and helping others.
Yeah, don't be get blinded by the other things out there. Stick to what was meant for you.
Absolutely.
No, I appreciate it. It was a good conversation.
Likewise.
Good to learn more about you and your business and the past and what you have coming up. Before we get out of here, please drop your social. People can find you. End of May is coming, so where people could look for the community as well.
Absolutely. On Instagram, Ambrea Lacy. That's Ambrea Lacy. And Digital Wealth Vault. I have a link tree in my bio.
Okay.
So everything is right there in my bio.
Okay.
Facebook, Ambrea Lacy as well.
Okay, so you make sure y'all click on the link in her bio, follow her, stay up to date. We'll make sure we put the link in the description for the video. And if you enjoy this conversation, please like, share, comment, subscribe. If you have any other questions for her too, drop them in the comments, and hopefully we'll get her to answer. But until
Yes.
next time, we greatly appreciate you guys, and y'all take it easy, be safe.